Oh! What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode. Today we'll be doing the rear brakes on this 2005 Acura TL, and it's getting dark pretty quickly, so let's go ahead and let's get to it. Alright guys, so here's our brake system. This is the rotor, this is your rear caliper, and you have one brake pad here and another one right there. Now you have two bolts holding on the caliper. And let me get a little bit closer here just to show you what you need to do. Now this is the top caliper bolt right here. Now what may happen as we loosen up this bolt, this is a 12mm by the way, and instead of using your hand, I'll be tapping it with a hammer. That way you don't injure your hand. Now this bolt right here may move as we try to back out this bolt. So let's see. Looks like we're okay. You know, I just did this on the other side, and when I went to loosen up this top bolt, this nut right here was moving. If that happens with your vehicle, what you want to do is get an adjustable wrench and place it over this nut. And then, just to give you an idea what you need to do if this happens to your car, or if this is happening on your vehicle, hold the adjustable wrench with your hand. You can hold it like this. That's really, you won't need a lot of force, and then you can go ahead and tap this bolt loose, and it will work. And of course, there's also one lower caliper bolt right there. So again, I'll be using a 12mm wrench, and I'll be tapping it with a carpenter's hammer. And that's it. Now before you remove the caliper, on the back of the rotor, but on the back here, right there, you have a 12mm nut. This holds on the brake line, or I'm sorry, it holds on a bracket that the brake line is attached to. So you need to remove this bolt so you don't place too much stress on the hose when you remove the caliper. Now this happens to be a 12mm. Alright, so now this line is nice and free. Alright, so now we can go ahead and remove the caliper, and I'm going to place it right there for now. It's not putting a lot of stress on it, on the brake line, so we're okay here. And as you can see, these brake pads are pretty much done. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just tap it with a hammer. And of course, here's your brake pad, and as you can see, it's very, very close to the brake pad indicator. What happens is once the brake pad hits this level, it will mark up your rotor and make a very, very loud noise to let you know that you need to replace your brake pad. So these really need to get done now. And of course, you have one more right here. Let's go ahead. I mean, these are, and look at this front brake pad, there's nothing left to it. So now the next step, what we need to do is open the hood and remove the cap to the master cylinder. So let's do that. Now for this next step, we need to get access to the brake master cylinder. And that's right underneath this plastic cover right here. What you want to do is just remove the cover. Like so. Then place some rags, paper towels, old t-shirt, whatever you have, all around the master cylinder. You want to do this just in case if any brake fluid comes out, it's very, very corrosive brake fluid, and you don't want it eating up any paint, rubber hoses and such. And then once you finish that, we can move on to the next step. Now with this next step, we need to compress the piston back into the bore of the caliper. So get yourself a block of wood and then a C-clamp. And what we're going to do is compress this piston back into the bore of the caliper. And it's actually going in very, very smoothly. And as you do this, just keep an eye. I'm going to check right now real quick, but keep an eye on the fluid level at the master cylinder. The brake fluid is very, very corrosive, and that's why we place paper towels or an old t-shirt, something around to catch any fluid that spills over. Alright, so that's it. Alright, and before I continue with the brake pad installation here, I'm just going to grab a bungee cord, place it around the caliper. Really, you want to do this once you remove the caliper. I just kept it in that position before so you guys can see how to compress the piston. But there we go. And then I'm going to suspend it with the bungee cord. That way you don't have to worry about breaking any brake lines. Now let's start with the back brake pad here. When you purchase the brake pads, your auto parts supplier will provide you with brake grease. What you want to do is place the grease on the back of the brake pad, like so, on the back of the shims here, and also place some brake grease right here on the pad retainers, because don't forget the brake pads move. They make contact on this surface right here. So you want to go ahead and place some brake grease like so. Alright. And when you install this back brake pad, you want the indicator pointing down. So go ahead. It's quite easy to reinstall these suckers. And that's it. Then grab your front brake pad. Put a little grease on here. Alright. And then same with this. Whoop. We're going to put it right back on the pad retainers, okay? Then unhook your caliper from the bungee cord. Once you get the caliper back in your hands, on the back here, also put a little grease right there as well. Alright, just put a little bit of grease. You don't need a lot. Just get it on the metal shims here. And then we can go ahead reinstall the caliper. There we go. Now go ahead, reinstall your top. And lower caliper bolts. Now if you see, right here, let me tighten this a little bit more. See how this bolt is now moving? So we need to keep that in place. So get yourself an adjustable wrench, place it over, and with one hand hold the adjustable wrench, and with the other hand tighten this copper bolt. And then we can go ahead and move on to the lower one. And just like before, go ahead, place your wrench over the nut and then tap it with the hammer. And we'll do the same for the lower one. Alright. And then don't forget that we need to reinstall this mounting point for the brake hose. Alright, one more tug. And that's it. And then as a last step, we'll go ahead and tighten these lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. And then as a last step, before you even start the car, just go ahead, press down on the brake pedal, and by 3-4 times, it should be nice and hard.